Good morning, friends, and welcome back. Today I wanted to show you how I used a two-part resin along with PearlEx powders over this canvas, actually over these two canvases. And I will show you how I did that in just a minute, but I did want to let you know that I am posting a video on Patreon showing you how I covered the surface of our old bathroom vanity using this same process. Here's how the vanity looked before, and here's how the vanity looked once I finished working on this. And Patreon is a pay-per-view site. You would need to sign up, and most videos run between $1 and $5 per video. That's just on my channel. There are several other artists and creators over there, and I'll have a link down below if you'd care to see how to do this. So back to our canvases. I painted one, this charcoal color. I just used chalk paint. You can use acrylic paint, but you do want to lay down some surface. And in addition to the PearlEx powders, I'm using this acrylic ink, which you don't have to use. And I'm also using these two other colors on my canvas, and I'll have these on my website so you can see what colors I used, and that link will be down below. It is also very important that you wear some type of gloves while you're working with this. So once your canvases have dried, you want to mix your two-part resin. And you simply pour equal amounts of the first bottle into one cup, and then the equal amount into the second cup. The outcome of this project depends on you getting these two amounts equal. And then you want to pour them into a larger cup. This can be a little expensive, so you want to make sure you take as much of that resin out of the cup as you can. And then you have to stir it for a solid 2 minutes. While you're doing this, tiny little bubbles can float around the air. They do suggest that you do this in a well-ventilated area. Even though these tend to be odorless, you really don't smell much, I still would be careful about doing this. I wouldn't do it in a closed-in space. Only when it's drying do you want to close it in. Now I am using freezer paper here with the shiny side up. You can also use a craft mat, those Teflon ones, to do your work over, and you should have your canvas elevated over some type of a little setup, because as you'll see when we do this, there's going to be so much dripping off the sides. You also want to have your cups set up right near your work area for each color. I'm only using 3 colors, but as I said, I'm using an acrylic ink and the white PearlEx powder. Just want to see how different they look. So now you take the larger cup that you've already mixed and you pour a small amount in each cup. It does get very tricky knowing exactly how much of this to use. If you have some other small project laying around, let's say it's an old frame that you're not crazy about, or something you were going to throw away anyway and it's a smaller piece, I would have that on hand so that you could pour this over that if you have any left over, because you really hate to waste this stuff. So you now want to put a little bit of a base coat of this over your canvas and spread it around. Now it does take about 20 minutes before it starts to get firm or set up, so you want to work kind of quickly. You also want to make sure you have one of these popsicle sticks per color. And this is not the way to do this. I put way too much of the powder in there. A little bit goes a long way. So that's just a pile of it that I'm scraping out, and I'm going to stir this up. Now this has to be very fluid. It's got to be able to move easily. So I'm going to pour just a little bit more resin in here. Another reason to have a little bit extra on hand. Stir it well. Now a better way to do this is to take the end of your popsicle stick and just take a small bit of the powder, the PearlEx, and stir it up in there. And I'm going to do this with the other two colors. And you don't need to mix this smaller cup for 2 minutes. You just need to mix it well enough so that the PearlEx is blended into the resin. And once you've mixed all three, here comes the fun part. You want to take your cup full of color and just add some over the canvas. And now I'm going to move on to the white, and I'm going to drizzle it on a little lightly using this stick. You can go in different directions and apply different patterns. And this part is also a lot of fun. You want to make sure you have a powerful blow dryer. And by the way, you have to work quickly with this because it does start to set up and harden. So this isn't something you can walk away from. You've got to have a dedicated amount of time to do this. And I'm taking the blow dryer and I'm moving the different colors around. And as you'll see, this doesn't form any particular pattern, but it does move the colors around nicely. You can also pick up the canvas and turn it from side to side and move it around. Just a little side note too, when you put this aside to dry, you want to put it in the most pristine environment that you can. If there is a piece of hair floating around, this works like a magnet and it will pull it right into the surface. So if you can put an upside down box over this while it's drying, that will protect it from the hair and dust. And you do want to take your gloved finger and go all around these edges to make sure that those are also covered with the resin. And since this medium is still very fluid, you can pick these up and turn the canvases in different directions, which will cause your medium to move all over in different directions and give you some pretty designs. You can play around a lot with this to get the desired effect. I'll have these butane torches on my website. The refills are available in any hardware store. To begin with, these butane torches only cost about between $15 and $20, and you want to go lightly over the surface because what's happened is there are thousands and thousands of air bubbles underneath here that start to pop as it's drying, and it doesn't make for a good final product. So what you want to do is run this butane torch over the whole surface, and it makes those air bubbles come up and pop. Now, when you're done doing this, this needs to dry for 24 hours. It will feel dry after 12 hours. You really can't put anything on it for 72 hours if you're going to cover furniture. So 24 hours it takes for it to dry. And now here's how the final product looks. I came back the next morning and found these nice and shiny and dry. Look at the shine on that. If you wanted, you could add a little glitter to these. The PearlEx has a beautiful pearl finish to it though, and I had a friend who normally loves my work. He's very sweet, but when he saw these, he said, "Oh, can you please give me one for my birthday?" But I ended up giving him this one because he loved it so much and he thought it reminded him of koi. swimming in a pond. So that is our project for the week. Certainly different from decoupage. You can use this 2-part resin without the PearlEx over your decoupage. Once again, I'll have links below for my website, links to the Patreon video showing you how I did that vanity. And by the way, if you do want to add a little bit of glitter to this, you want to make sure you do it after you're done with the butane torch. The other thing that I wanted to mention is it is a very big help if you use the color wheel in determining which colors that you want to use over your surface. And for years, the color wheel confused me. I was like, I don't know what this is. So I went on YouTube naturally, and I found a very good video explaining how to use the color wheel. So if you want to do a search on YouTube for how to use the color wheel, that might just turn all of your projects around and make everything that much more exciting to do. So thank you so much for subscribing. Please help me out by subscribing, guys. That's really important over here on YouTube. Upcycle with Decoupage is also on Facebook. And if you go over and like and follow that page, Facebook will notify you when I put a new video out. And I also have other news on there about my Etsy store, my Zazzle papers, my Patreon videos, and just a bunch of good stuff over there. So thanks again, my friends. I will see you in another week with another video. I hope you enjoyed this. It is so much fun to do. Just make sure you protect the whole area that you're working in, because it is really sticky stuff that will not come off without a whole lot of work if you get it on anything. Make sure you wear those gloves. So I'll see you guys next week with another video. Thanks again, my friends. Bye-bye.